always loved this particular story about our very own British superstar. Yes, the man that really sort of, to me, got me into style, hopefully, and wanting to dress well on every occasion. Now, what's interesting, this particular story made me smile because apparently, literally, way back at the very start of his career, the brilliant actress, comedian, and all-round icon, Mae West, saw this particular individual descending the stairs on the studio lot. And apparently she just looked up and said to the guy she was talking to, "Who's that?" And they said, "Oh, well, he's nothing really, he's just started, whatever." She said, "I don't care whether he can sing, dance, or even speak. I'll have him, sign him." And that was a real big start for the one and only, the icon that is, of course, Cary Grant. But I've got a wonderful story to share with you about Mr. Grant, and I thought you may just enjoy it. As ever, let me explain. Lovely to see you today, and thank you so much for taking the time out to join me in the wonderful, of course, Hyde Park. Hope you're all keeping well, whatever you're doing. It's nice to have, we'll have a lovely wave, lovely to have your company, thank you. You know, Cary Grant, as I say, was one of these people when I was watching the old black and white movies when I was growing up. I always thought, oh, he looks good, because he always just looked smart, didn't he, you know? And when you think about it, he would have been at the height of fashion. I mean, sometimes, I don't know if you do this, fellas, but you look at the suit lapels and you think, wow, look at the size of those lapels. But in that time, they would have been, well, literally the height of fashion. A lot of people, of course, mocked him. Tony Curtis, who I got to know very well, said that apparently Cary Grant loved his impression of him being Cary Grant in Some Like It Hot. And I thought, did he? Not sure I would, but there you go. That's Tony Curtis for you. But what's interesting about Cary Grant is he always had a passion back here for England. You know, he returned very much often, particularly, of course, when he became a father. And his area of Bristol here in the United Kingdom is a wonderful area. If you've never been and you are looking to tour the United Kingdom, go down there. It's a lovely, lovely area. Very friendly people as well, let me tell you, Bristol people. But of course, he really did start off his career down there in the world of theatre, in the Empire, apparently. Now, what was interesting was I got very friendly with the comedian Mike Winters. Now, Mike Winters was a double act, Mike and Bernie Winters, and they were like the counteract, if you like, to Morecambe and Wise, Eric and Ernie, all over our TV screens for many decades. And Bernie was the sort of goofy, gormless one. Mike was the talented, clarinet playing one, very good looking, very debonair, you know, the sort of thing, how these double acts work. And I was lucky enough, as I say, to meet Mike on many different occasions. And he shared this wonderful story, which threw a totally different light on this Hollywood legend. You see, for a couple of seasons, they'd been down in Bristol at the Hippodrome in pantomime. Now, pantomime is vaudeville, of course, for those that don't know. It's a fun thing where boys play girls and, oh, you know, it's all very confusing, but Prince Charming, Cinderella, Snow White, you get the picture. A lot of fun, a lot of work for people during the seasonal period. And if you've never been to a pantomime, brace yourself, because people don't necessarily get it. I remember the beautiful Priscilla Presley signing up to do pantomime a few years ago at Wimbledon, and we were having a chat backstage, and she said, "You know what, Neil, I like it, but I don't know anything about what I'm doing." I just thought it said it all about the whole thing, you know. And she was lovely, and the audience loved her, but you can understand, you must have thought, I'm playing the Wicked Queen, what? I mean, you know, but she did it really well, actually. Everybody remembers her in Naked Gun, though, don't you, with Leslie Nielsen. What a part that was. But according to Mike, you see, basically Cary Grant brought his daughter in to see the boys, Mike and Bernie, in panto at the Hippodrome, and they absolutely loved it. Popped backstage, and this was a matinee. And Mike said to me that, you know, they got on really well. And apparently, Cary Grant said, you know, it's one genre that I've never done is pantomime, and I've always wanted to have a crack at it. I think I might be very good. Now, Mike said he was a little bit in awe, as was his brother, you know, Bernie. There they are standing with this Hollywood legend in their outfits in pantomime backstage in the Hippodrome, talking about how this man, the icon that is Cary Grant, wanted to have a go at panto. So they said, well, you know, you could do it, you know, I'm sure they'd let you. And he said, well, now he'd become a father, he wanted something that he could let his daughter see, because a lot of the films, he said, were inappropriate, which is true. Northwest by Northwest, you know, all those sort of things. And he thought, well, what can I show her? Anyway, apparently what happened was the boys were going to come back the following year to do pantomime again, because it'd been such a record-breaking success at the Hippodrome. And Cary was going to come back, and they were going to try and work something out. Sadly, as it often happens in these wonderful Hollywood stories, for them, it didn't quite work out, simply because Cary Grant didn't make it back that particular year. But they did keep in touch, and Mike showed me a wonderful letter that Cary had written to him saying the reasons why and that he did want to try and get there again. Of course, as you know what happens in the world of show business, then the boys were moved to another theatre, which wasn't Bristol, and I don't know whether it worked out or anything like that. I do believe the comedian Freddie Davies had a very similar experience with Cary Grant. The reason why I share this with you is it just goes to show it doesn't matter how big the star, eventually they've done everything in the world, they've had Oscar nominations, stood on the biggest stages, been on the biggest screens, and it comes down to the one thing they've never done that they want to do, and that is make people laugh. And according to Mike Winters, Cary Grant literally sat there during the next performance in the wings, in a chair, trying to take it all in to see exactly how it would pan out and whether or not he could pull it off. And I said, did you find that a little bit disconcerting? He said, well, having a Hollywood star in the wings watching your every move? A little bit. He said, but then again, doesn't happen every day, does it? And that is the story. I hope you like it. And obviously it's lovely to share these things because it shows a different perspective on the icons that we all know and love. Neil Sean, Hyde Park, London.